Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about astrology and the recent coronavirus, part two, basically an update on this. And the thing about this is I want to focus a lot on what the transits are going to be at the time of when we have the supermoon in Virgo on March 9, 2020, and its possible impact its possible impact as far as this corona virus goes. Now, at the time when we're having this supermoon again, March 9, 2020, we're going to have it at a 19 degrees Virgo, and of course the sun will be at 19 degrees Pisces at the time. Well, the thing about it is, in general, when you have full moons in astrology, of course, could be about unveilings, revelations. They could be about declarations. We're talking about the supermoon in Virgo, the sign that is associated with health. And the thing about this is it's going to fall in the United States ninth house in their chart. And I'm going with, of course, the Sagittarius rising chart. Some people, may go with another chart, but I'm using the Sagittarius rising chart. I think that's the one that's most accurate. That's just for me anyway. But anyway, in the ninth house, of course, is connected with foreign travel, traveling abroad. I would not be surprised if there aren't restrictions already as far as traveling goes for the United States. There may be some, as far as traveling abroad, it may be done at or around this time because you're talking about the ninth house, it's global traveling. And then you have this thing with, the supermoon, which of course could be a little more intense than in a typical full moon. I don't think it's as amplified in its energy compared to a lunar eclipse, but it can. I could see this being a little bit more powerful than the typical full moon. Now, anyway, and you're going to have it at Virgo again. Being in Virgo can be about health related issues. And interestingly enough, that this 19th degree of Virgo, as far as Sabian symbols go, well, it could indicate that that traveling abroad could be rather imprudent, and one really should use a lot of discretion if that is the case. So I wouldn't be surprised if the United States put some travel, there might be some kind of traveling abroad restrictions on you people in the United States at the time we have this supermoon, or near the time we have this supermoon in Virgo. Now, this thing has escalated to some degree. Now, China seems like they're starting to get this a little bit contained, because I was looking recently in the new confirmed cases per day, and it was down to around near 1,000, it seemed like, per day, and at one time it was like at 4,000 or 5,000 per day or something. So they're obviously, whether this quarantine method or whatever they're using, they're gradually containing this. But the problem is it's spread to other countries, and over 50 countries total now have at least one person that has been affected by this corona virus. The thing about this too is, at the time of this, on this supermoon on March 9th, you're going to have the sun is going to be conjunct Neptune at this time. And when you have, supermoons, full moons in astrology, all the other energy could be amplified and intensified because they're taking place at the time of this supermoon. You're going to have now Sun conjunct Neptune. Now, many of you may know Neptune could be connected with diseases. You have the sun very close proximity to it at this time, and that could indicate a strong focus and shining light on diseases at this time. This could be a very intensified period for this coronavirus. And Pisces, of course, could be very, nebulous, unclear energy, and it could be diseases that can't be cured. Now, the thing about it is, in the coronavirus, as many of you may know, it can't be eradicated through the use of a vaccine. Now, there's many people that have recovered from it, but it wasn't through the use of a vaccine. It was just because it started just to dissipate on its own. There's some treatment that people give for it, but it's not like really eradicating it. Really, it's something that kind of helps you get through it, maybe a little bit better, I guess, presumably, but there's no actual cure for this thing. And Pisces, of course, can be connected with the diseases that you are unable to cure. So it's very interesting. And keep in mind too, that I mean, you're looking at the Neptune on the sun, and I mean, the sun in astrology can be connected with the physical body. The ascendant is more dominant as far as that goes, but the sun can be about physical issues, and you have Neptune on the sun. People are going to be feeling, I think, their energy more dissipated, dissolved, and being Pisces more lethargic. Pisces energy is not known to have a robust constitution, to have an abundance of vitality anyway, and then you put Neptune on it. I mean, it's like you're adding insult to abject misery. Now, another thing at this time, no, I think it's interesting is that there's certain controversy over, I mean, well, when I say controversy, there's speculation about whether this actually can go into the eyes, can be contracted through the eyes, this coronavirus. Well, I'm thinking there might be something around the time of the full moon which might corroborate it, because you gotta, I mean, looking at this, I mean, in astrology, the sun rules either the left or the right eye depending on gender, and the moon rules either the left or the right eye depending on gender. You're going to have Neptune at conjunct the sun. And Neptune, of course, I mean, Pisces energy can be about Neptune. No, Neptune could be about diseases, and then the sun can rule one of the eyes depending on the gender. You're also going to have Neptune oppose the supermoon at the same time, and that could give some adversarial energy as far as the eyes go, and it might be tied in to a disease. So it wouldn't surprise me if people, even if they don't like confirm this 100% around the time of the supermoon, that there may be a little bit more credence added to the fact that maybe that this could actually be transmitted through the eyes. There was some online blog that somebody had stated that they thought it was like plausible. They use the word plausible, but something like not probable or not likely that it can go through the eyes. I wouldn't be surprised if there is maybe a little bit more credence to this theory at the time of the supermoon, though. And at the time of the supermoon, too, you're also going to have Mars conjunct Jupiter. And many of you may know Mars can be about inflammations, can be about fevers, and Jupiter, as I've talked about in previous videos, can be rather paradoxical, could be strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. And it may very well expand this energy at this time, sadly. And another thing, too, is as far as the United States goes, again, going back to their chart, they're already going through the Pluto return. And of course, Pluto, as many of you may know, can be connected with death. But you're also going to have transit Jupiter around April 11th will be making an applying conjunction to the United States natal Pluto. And again, going back to Jupiter, that it can expand things. It might expand death in the United States. And I don't want to sound ominous or be foreboding, but I mean, it's something to really consider at this time and be very careful. People in the United States that are watching this video, take your precautions. Don't take this lightly. Don't be brash. Don't be at a point where you're oblivious to this, or you're overly confident that, oh, this can't happen to me, I'm invincible to this, nothing, why are people worrying over nothing? These are distorted fears, etc., because something could actually happen. Don't ever say that something can't happen to you. I've been involved in at least 2 fires, and I probably didn't think it would ever happen to me. But anyway. And another thing, too, you're also going to have the Black Moon Lilith in Aries conjunct Chiron at the time of the supermoon in Virgo. And when you have that and it's taking place at the time of the supermoon, and as I've stated previously, when something, transits that occur at the time of even a full moon, even a regular full moon, can be intensified because they're taking place at the time that that's happening. And you're talking about Black Moon Lilith can be about, suffering revelations, unveilings, dark revelations, unveilings. You're going to have this, and then conjunct Chiron. Chiron itself can be about suffering, can be about dealing with emotional, even physical wounds at times. And you're talking about this conjunction being in Aries. There could be something where in Aries, again, is a sign, can be connected with inflammation, could be fever. And so you might get some more cases, a lot more cases than you would think. There might be a proliferation of this at the time that this occurs, of this coronavirus. It would not shock me. Now, just because they might be starting to get it under control in China doesn't mean that these other countries will have it under control. And a lot of it is, of course, predicated on their technology, their resources, how many medical people, technicians or whatever, the people that work on this, the hospitals, how much help do these people have in these other countries? Hold on a moment, people. So anyway, a lot of this has to be taken into consideration. And again, if you're going to be traveling abroad, of course, take your precautions. If there's any kind of protective eyewear, even if there's any goggles, your masks that you got to wear, those surgical masks, by all means, do it. Again, it's going to be at that 19th degree of Virgo. As far as Sabian symbols go, it's really something where it's not really recommended to travel to any place, into another country at that time, and it's going to take place at the supermoon period, and you're going to have a lot of emotional energy, and you're going to have emotions could be, on full throttle at this time. And remember, when you're talking about full moons in astrology, they can be about where one is suppressing something for a while, and then they come out and unleash this emotional energy, and it could be information. I'm wondering if we're going to find out more at this time, that maybe there were more fatalities, there were more exposures, more incidents connected with this coronavirus than we previously had known. So it wouldn't surprise me if that would be the case at this time. And anyway, there's really not much more I wanted to say about this. I know we're going to have, at the time of the supermoon, we're also going to have Uranus conjunct Venus and Taurus at this time, which is interesting because to me it could indicate a lot of, people might be spending money more unpredictably at this time, and it may not even have to do with anything with the this coronavirus, but some of it may. Well, as far as spending unpredictably and maybe persistently, maybe some people are going to have to be in Taurus. I know it can manifest in other ways. It could be where somebody might have, supermoons, full moons could be about completions and culminations. So you might have some people maybe have some kind of innovation that might come to an end that could be money making. That could be maybe Taurus related, maybe some tool connected with architecture or agriculture or cultivation, gardening, something like that as well. Oh, there was one other thing I was going to get to, is that the transit, interestingly enough, the transit North Node in Cancer is going to be conjunct the United States natal Jupiter at this time of this supermoon on March 9th. And of course, Jupiter can indicate foreign travel. We're talking about the North Node in astrology. It can be about, in transit, it can be about issues one may have to confront or address. So to me, there's some indications that there could be, it's another indicator of some strong restrictions on foreign travel. And Jupiter, and being, in fact, this is in Cancer, of course, it can be foreign travel that maybe one really felt at home with, that one showed a lot of dedication, devotion to, an unequivocal love, and also one's travel that was very family related. But now it's something where people and people really felt maybe comfortable and close to home with. But that night there might be some, so a lot of people may be prohibited from traveling at least to certain places at the time of this supermoon, or at or near the time of the supermoon in Virgo. So anyway, people, that'll pretty much do it. I don't think I have anything else to say about this right now. But anyway, people, again, take your precautions if you're going to be traveling abroad. This is nothing to scoff at and look at as something trivial or trite or light. This is something that's very serious. It has proven perilous. I forget the count, but I believe there's over 2,000 deaths now attributed to this. I think it may be close to 3,000 by now, but you want to check on that and confirm that. But this coronavirus, it's not anything to take lightly. And again, not to be overly redundant, but the fact that this might be under control in China doesn't mean that this is under control in other places right now. So I would really heed caution and in terms of foreign travel right now. And anyway, people, and just don't do anything foolhardy or reckless in connection with foreign travel right now if you can help it. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.